So the shutdown's over. We got that going for us. But, it's like Senator Blutarski told us, nothing's over until we say it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no. And that man was a genius and an American treasure. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. That's what I'm doing. Glad you're here. Let's do this thing.
Ayes are 209. The bill is passed. The motion is adopted.
The bill is passed, the motion is adopted, and we have ended the shutdown. Hey, well done. Good work. If it sounded like I was a little muffled there, you can't smoke a cigar and clap and talk all at the same time. I mean, that takes a special skill set. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Good to be here. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. 220 to 206. I'm sorry, to 209. 6 Democrats came across. 2 Republicans voted against. Of course, Thomas Massie voted against. It's what he does. Which is really a story in and of itself. It's not even anymore that he could have a point about things. It's just everything. It can't be everything. Some things you got to be okay with. Everything's a negative. And yet there is no, you're not winning people over with your arguments. It's too busy being snarky. And I don't like it when Trump does it with him, but I sure as bloody heck don't like it when he does it with everybody. But leave that be. This being over has to tell a story. There is, at the end of the day, a postmortem about these things. What is it that we experienced here? What is it that we saw? What we saw was no real plan other than, well, the last time I did it one way and it didn't work, so this time I'll do it this way and hopefully it'll work. It's not a plan. You couldn't run a business like that. Sure as bloody heck can't run a country like that. It should be a reminder to everyone that there was a conversation regarding government shutdown back in March. And what is it that Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats, did? Chuck Schumer said, we are not going to shut down the government. Chuck Schumer said, it's a fool's errand to do so. That's me paraphrasing. That this is not something of great value. His words. And what happened to him? He got the snot kicked out of him by everybody, by everyone. He let them down because he did not fight. And he was there, I think it was on the View, saying, well, I felt like I had to do it.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Why?
Great.
What were you thinking and why?
Okay. So, look, I knew it was a difficult choice, and I knew that I'd get a lot of criticism for my choice. But I felt as a leader I had to do it. Here's why. The CR bill was bad, no question. And it allowed a slush fund, which allowed money to be pushed around.
Explain it for the people who don't know what
There's
CR means.
CR means continue the government spending.
Right.
A shutdown, the alternative is cut off the government spending. And here's what would happen if we cut off government spending. It would be devastation like we have never seen.
Worse than we're seeing now?
Much. Here's why. That's why I did it. I wasn't going to take this flack just for having a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's so relatable. Why was it then devastation like you would have never seen, and now it was somehow righteous? I have often argued, and I think that you've seen this in your own life, I don't think you need me to tell you this, that the Democratic Party often acts like when they say something, it's the first time it was ever said. They act like there was no video or no audio, no recording of them saying exactly the opposite yesterday. The phrasing that I've used before is, for the leftist progressive, yesterday, and what they said yesterday has absolutely no bearing on what they say today. And what they say today will have absolutely no bearing on what they say tomorrow. Somehow, every day is this brand new day. And if you notice what they said yesterday, why are you paying attention to the past? It's a crazed philosophy, except they do it. I am pretty sure they do it because they still believe that all the media is on their side and the media will cover for them. And now the media will cover them for them. That's very, very true. But they are losing more and more of the media. More and more people not watching the CNN and the MSNBC. I mean, we don't watch it. We watch it for the lulz. I mean, what else? What other purpose is there in to watch or for these things? It's not for us to watch. It's for us to get a good laugh at. That's it. That's the only thing to do, is to get a good laugh at. I mean, I've got some clips from Abby Phillips' show where Ben Ferguson is taking people to task just like the rest of us would regarding this Epstein disaster. Holy cow. You know, I said yesterday, I said, I haven't had a chance to go over what the New York Times and others are reporting regarding these new emails from Jeffrey Epstein that bring up Donald Trump, but I will. But what did I say? Take a massive grain of salt when engaging a conversation from the New York Times. Don't just believe them for the sake of believing them. The only place that has more salt than the grain of salt you should take with something from the New York Times is the person running the fries over at McDonald's. That's it. And sure enough, what they put out is not what they purported to have. They lied. And Jonathan Karl. Oh, let me write that down. I forgot about him. Oh gosh. John Karl on Colbert's show. Holy heck. ABC learns no lessons. And that's just it. They think we don't notice them. They think they can cover themselves. They think they can get away with anything. Here's Schumer, March 18th, 2025, saying, I had to do it. I had to not allow the shutdown. It would be massive devastation. Yet now, you allow the massive devastation. That's called not having a plan. It is obvious to everybody who pays attention that the shutdown was about a reaction to what happened the first time around. With book tours, remember he had a book coming out, book tours canceled. And of course he had to cancel his new show on Food Network, How to Make a Cheeseburger. He had to cancel it all. By the way, if you don't know about Chuck Schumer and cheeseburgers, just go to your search engine and go Chuck Schumer cheeseburger, and then you will feel ill. So he did this. Now, let's take it down to part two. The party wanted a shutdown. They weren't going to let Trump get away with it. The party apparatchik, these progressives, foaming at the mouth, violent types, they demanded it. And when I say foaming at the mouth, violent types, I mean Jasmine Crockett. They demanded that this happen. So you did it. You shut it down. Now what? It is so important that everybody understands Alinsky's rules for radicals. And you say to me, why in the world would I care about what it is that some Marxist, Saul Alinsky, would put out into the world? Well, I think it's very, very important that you pay attention to what it is that someone like Saul Alinsky would put out into the world. Let me give you an example here of part of what it is that the rules for radicals state. The rules for radicals state that Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. How you never go outside the experience of your people, and whenever possible, go outside the experience of your enemy. Here is the big one. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Now, I actually grabbed these rules from Wikipedia, but these are indeed the rules. They actually got this one correct and accurate. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative, meaning that if you are to actually achieve, you now have to deal with what it is that you've achieved. If the objective is government shutdown, you have to shut down to a purpose. One would think, but no, if you shut down and you don't have a purpose, you don't have a stated goal, what exactly do you have? What exactly is the constructive alternative? And Chuck Schumer never consulted this because he said, hey, we're going to shut down the government. Everyone said, hey, we're going to shut down the government. Hooray, that's fantastic. And then absolutely nothing happened. Nothing. It was nothing but silence. Every now and again, the train would go by. People would wonder what they were doing on that train, whether they were having a good time. Oh, that little distraction's gone. Now they're back to the shutdown with no end game in sight. The shutdown began with no end game in sight. So what did they do? What did they realize after maybe day 3? We're going to need an end game. I got it. Obamacare subsidies. You think I'm rewriting history. I think I'm accurately denoting history. So maybe it was only 2 days. Maybe it was 4 days. That's not the point. The shutdown was predicated on the idea that they could not keep the government open because Chuck Schumer saw what happened the last time he did, and he wasn't willing to do that again because he's got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez nipping at his heels, breathing down his neck, whatever else type of thing you want to call it. He had to do it. The party demanded it. And then they said, all right, Chucky, what's the plan, boo-boo? And Chuck Schumer said, you know what? Here's the plan. And he didn't have really a plan. And the people said, yeah, they were not impressed. And then he said, I got it. Obamacare subsidies. Thank you. Cheeseburgers for everybody. No one wants one of my world famous Chuck Schumer burgers. No? That's shocking. Shocking to me. No question of whether or not this was popular. No question of whether or not this would be seen as valuable. As a matter of fact, I would argue it took days for everybody to get on board with this idea. Because the whole idea was the concept that somehow you couldn't negotiate this later. Somehow Republicans wouldn't negotiate this at all. But they said, no, this way we'll have the subject. This way we'll be able to talk about it in large measure. And when Republicans do vote for it, which seemingly they're going to do right now, that's the way it looks, we'll be able to say, see, we forced them to the table. You could have done that in a week and a half. You could have ended this after the No Kings rally. You could have ended this after the election. And some people are going to say, well, Tony, they did end it after the election. No, they didn't, because you had Richard Blumenthal, a Democratic senator from Connecticut who lied about his Vietnam service, saying we can't end this. You had Chris Murphy, Democratic senator, beta male from Connecticut, saying if we end this, we're going to hurt our chances in the midterms. And look at all the angry Democrats you have because a couple of Democrats in the Senate said, you're all nuts, this is over. Well, Chuck Schumer arranged that. Maybe. but the anger is still there. Chuck Schumer engaged a shutdown because of his political reality, but the progressives wanted to keep the shutdown because they want to control political reality. They love the power. They loved seeing people get hurt. They love watching children starve. Now, you say to me, that's rude. I'm telling you, what else can I take from what it is they did? The plan was Chuck Schumer's survival and the survival of Democrats against a progressive base that is more rabid than them, but only to a certain measure because Democrats are equally rabid. And I know this because they're upset that the shutdown ended. So what's really the difference? It was about his political survival, and it became about how do you satisfy? Is that a constructive alternative? Doesn't sound like it. But it's over now. And now we will see where this fallout goes. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. So you would think that I'm working very hard in the breaks and getting ready for what's next. No. I'm getting updates on Landon's love life. I swear. This show. Producer Landon, by the way, back at the home station, WIBC in Indianapolis. You don't get to hear him. We got to fix that. But the only way to fix that is to send the audio through you, Landon, right? Or how I bring audio back into it. But then again, I'm going to have the bumper music, and that's going to mean no monetization. Well, yeah, that could happen. You could join in through another functionality. So there it is. Good to see everybody. Love. No, you have not been restricted in the chat. What kind of silliness is this? You're not restricted at all. There are no restrictions here. There are no rules. All right, there's just one rule. We've got a lot to get to, and I'm glad you guys are here. Let me see what the latest is over here. I know the president and the first lady are doing an executive order signing regarding foster care. That's going to be a little bit later today, so may or may not get to cover that. There it is. And then we've got I've got what you call it, Katie Couric and John Fetterman. I don't think there's any cursing, but you're gonna have to keep an eye on that. By the way, when are you moving studios, producer Landon? Wow. All right. There are no more pennies. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to deliver such bad news at such a time fraught with so much pain for all of us. I'm sorry. I'm not in any pain whatsoever. There are no more pennies. That's the pain I thought you were in. Tony Katz today. Guys, good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. The last penny went off the mint today, or I should say yesterday, there in Philadelphia. A penny costs 4 cents to make. It would make sense to me that we shouldn't have pennies anymore. Now, you still can use a penny. It's still currency. You can still pay with pennies if you want to be that person. You could show up with a roll of pennies, and I don't know what you can get yourself, but you could do that. It's just that we don't make anymore. I know some people pretend to be bothered by such a thing, but I think it is rational to say that if something worth 1 cent costs 4 cents, that's not a value. That's a mistake. And it is. Should we now go about changing pricing and everything be based on the nickel? Why would anything be 99 anymore? Remember, 99 is about psychology, right? The psychology of saying that it's not $10, it's only $9.99. Does that psychology change if it's $9.95? And as a follow-up, because someone brought this up to me, and I'm not a retailer, but full disclosure, I will be soon. I have been working on a fair number of things. So here's a question. If something is $9.99, is it considered cheap? But if it's $9.95, it's considered worthy. Does it make a difference if it's the 9 or the 5 at the end of the conversation? If something is $49.99, that's trashy. But if it's $49.95, it's classy. For the record, I cannot describe to you how much I hate the word classy. Whenever I hear someone say, oh man, that was classy, I think to myself, my God, you are not. Every single, I don't know why it is. I don't know what it is that it hits me that way. Can't tell you how much I despise the word. I think it's like the way other people hate the word moist. Like that's how much I absolutely hate the word. I'm going to get emails. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get so many emails. Would you do me a favor? Send your emails to clayandbuck@yahoo.com. I don't think they'll get them either. You tell me, the 9 or the 5, it doesn't make a difference. This is Tony Katz today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Yes, the way people hate the word moist is just silly. Do I have to move? I have to be over here a little bit to be centered. See, so oh gosh, I figured out what's going on with the video. You want to hear a crazy story? I share everything with you guys. So the other day, I saw in how we do the live stream that there were 2 ways to send things out. You could send it out the landscape, or you could send it out vertical, or you could do both. So the vertical would be more valuable to people who are watching on a mobile device. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But when we did it Like the camera angles were all messed up. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Why was this the case? What was happening? Well, figured out what it is, and like I used to let's say, let me share this right here. Like you'll see, I would share it like this. So I'm sharing two screens at once, but on the mobile, it's a complete and total disaster. So okay, I've had to figure out how to redo. And then I do that right there, right? So that's what it looks like, and then I bring it back here. So I've got to do them separate as opposed to sharing the screen, at least for now. I might get better at it. What's fascinating is that we're growing and we're building in our views, and it's going well. We're getting there. The number of views that the mobile presentation, the vertical presentation got is magnitudes more than the horizontal, the standard presentation. Magnitudes. So much so that digital director Sarah calls me yesterday and she's like, I don't care what you have to do. You have to be able to enable that. You don't have an option. You have to be able to enable it because we at least have to test. Was it something that specifically happened? Was it the subject you were talking about? Or is it indeed the layout? So I'm curious. I am very, very curious about how this will work out and how it'll play out. Now, Michael, you're asking a good question about the 99 or the 95. You're like, what about gas prices? Since a gas price you could argue it'll round up, but no, it would still be what it is. I'm not saying that everything's going to change. Because what you could argue is if it's $2.99 a gallon, how many people are getting $2.99 worth? Usually they do $3. People usually do some kind of round number, some kind of round figuring. That's my take. Now, they could also change the pricing. They could 1,000% change the pricing. Wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Meanwhile, Democrats flat out lying about these quote-unquote Epstein files. This story, as we said, is nothing. Not Epstein. Epstein is something. But this latest is garbage. Gross garbage. I've got that story coming up. I'm glad you're here. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. This is from Oliva. This is the Millennium right there, the Maduro. Enjoy the cigar quite a bit. And that, I gotta adjust the time. That's from Flederman Von Riest, right? This is the watch that you need, the company that you need, shop.vonriest.com. Thrilled to have them as a part of the show. Go to shop.vonriest.com, assembled right here in Indiana, and use promo code CATS to get your discount. We'll talk more about the watches coming up in a bit. Let's do the show, Landon. What we were told was there was a bombshell. A bombshell, I say. We have emails of Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell talking about the evil Donald Trump. That's how they phrased it yesterday. Tony Katz Today. Guys, good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. And what I said was, I haven't had a chance to read this yet. But if you expect me to believe anything the New York Times has to say just because the New York Times says it, you're out of your mind. Why would I ever trust the New York Times? You got to be out of your mind to trust the New York Times. Those liars, those propaganda peddlers, those frauds, my thoughts on the New York Times. No. Not buying into this. I mean, you think I'm going to trust CNN just because they say it? The same CNN that told me Nicholas Sandmann was going after some Native American guy? Yeah, not the case. at all. The story was that Jeffrey Epstein, in an email to Ghislaine Maxwell, who's the woman in jail right now who is procuring young women for Jeffrey Epstein and his gross group of associates, was that, it's interesting, Trump never comes up. The email states, when you read it, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. And then it says, so-and-so, the victim, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. I don't know what there is. I don't know what that means. But the victim that's being referred to here, this email was put out in a redacted form. It just says victim. Well, we know now. And for those of you who go to TonyKatz.com and are subscribers, you saw my video about this last night. That was Virginia Giuffre. And she has since passed away. And she is on record about Trump. So here is this email. This email that it's never been seen before. And look at what it says here. And look at it. It's how damning this all is. I don't know if it's damning in the slightest. I don't know why anybody would think that it's damning. This is Jonathan Karl. Jonathan Karl is with ABC News. Jonathan Karl goes on Stephen Colbert's show, and he says this.
Here's the key thing is all of those emails that came out today, they came from the Epstein estate. So all this battle over releasing the so-called Epstein files from the Justice Department, this was an additional batch of documents. So
this is something we didn't expect.
Yeah, and by the way, we've seen a lot of Epstein stuff over the years through the various criminal cases. These were all new. And, I mean, they raised so many more questions. Who was the dog that didn't bark? I mean, I guess it was Trump. What does that mean exactly? Clearly shows that there was much more of an awareness on, or it seems to suggest, I should say, more of an awareness on Trump's part of what was going on.
Right. At one point, Michael.
Why in the world does he say that? Sorry. I say to you that there's no need to say that. This shows us something else. This doesn't show us anything else. It doesn't show us anything else because the redacted name is Virginia Giuffre and Giuffre. I'm sorry. And Virginia Giuffre is on record before her passing. She never saw Trump and Epstein together. Trump never acted inappropriately towards her. And she was never at Epstein's house with Trump. Now you say to me, so you're admitting that Trump and Epstein knew each other. Epstein knew everybody. He had crazy money. After he got out of jail the first time, there was a dinner in New York in his townhouse. You know who was there? George Stephanopoulos and Chelsea Handler. There's a photo. Did I make up the photo? Was it AI generated and I have it wrong? He was connected to a lot of people. He spoke to a lot of people. He was in a lot of different circles. As we have stated from the beginning, if you were to release everything we had, if the federal government has on Jeffrey Epstein, release everything, there are going to be a lot of names in there. A lot of names in there. Doesn't mean that they're guilty of anything. It doesn't mean that they are guilty of anything. What matters is whether or not they were involved in the abuse of children, not that they knew him. Very important. You can't just decide you're in the files, you're guilty. That's not the way it works. But just because an email goes out doesn't make Trump guilty, because he's not. And I want to make sure we're all clear on the timeline. Yesterday, it was clear that the House was going to vote to end the shutdown. And then magically, What is it that you see? Check this out about Epstein. Oh, okay. That's just total coincidence and not in any way planned. Sure. Gotcha. You bet. Who believes this? Who buys into this? It just magically appeared? Are we all children? Hold on. Wait. Let me rephrase that. Do they think we're children? No, wait. I know the answer to that. It's not that they think we're children. It's that they don't even think about us at all. They lie without any reservation. None. Zero. Less than zero. They do not care. They lie about everything. They lie constantly. They lie all the time. Of course, this was timed. First of all, you have Tim Burchett. I'm getting a comment. The Democrats have always blocked the release of the Epstein files. That's not the argument. Tim Burchett said he wanted a release, and it was Democrats that blocked it. Although you could argue that it was Republican chairman who blocked it. I want the release of the Epstein files. That isn't this conversation, you absolute wimps on the left. The argument is there's nothing here. And it got released so you can engage a change of subject after losing the shutdown fight. We see you, boo-boo. Kitten, honey, schmoopy, baby love, sweet cheeks. I don't know. I don't have any others. If you've got others, send them my way. I'll use them right now. I'm gonna try and placate you. I'm gonna try and no, not placate. Help. I'm gonna try and soothe you. That's right. I'm gonna try and be your whoopee. Listen to me. The desperation from the political left is to tie Trump to Epstein. And I'm here to tell you, look at me when I talk to you. Look deep into my eyes. You know, I know it sometimes makes you feel funny, realizing that a man is dishonest with you. But it's okay. You need a little bit of this in your life, because clearly your spouse never was, nor was your father. But listen to what I'm saying. If Donald Trump was involved with children in a sexual way, I want him in jail. You know what I know? There's zero proof of such a thing. And it's a really ugly thing to say just because you want to get some clicks on social media or because you think it's good trolling. That's proof positive that most probably you've never sexually satisfied anybody in your entire life. Because look at the extent that you will go to try and find some kind of self-gratification. Honey, look at me. I'm right here. I'm helping you through it. We're going to be okay together. You can't hate Trump so much you'll just make it up. You'll just lie. Because children, young women were abused, and we have to find who did this, and we have to put them in jail. I want that. I hope you want that. I do not care who they are. I don't care who their daddy is. I don't care how much money they have or what position they hold, how much power they have. If they abuse children, they have to go to jail. But there is no proof that Donald Trump did any of this. And this release from the Democrats, this release is nothing. It's zero, kids. They don't have it. But if you were to ask me, do I think it is timed perfectly and in every single way to be a distraction from the fact that Democrats just got their asses kicked on the shutdown? Yeah, I do. I 10,000% do. Does it matter what little comments you put in social media? Does it matter the trolling? What matters are the facts. Reality is what it is. Even when we talk about the redacting, why was the name redacted? Everybody knows who it is that we're talking about here. Everybody knows who we're talking about. So why in the world would you redact the name? Doesn't make any sense. And then you've got Jasmine Crockett. Check this out.
This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans were saying that that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She's been very outspoken victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that? And can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth.
This is an
So the redaction was done by Democrats. Jasmine Crockett wants to say she knew that. Clearly, she didn't. They don't even know what it is that they're talking about. All they want to be able to say is Trump bad. You can say Trump bad on a whole bunch of subjects, but can't you have a fact with you? You got to make it up. Never, ever, ever trust the New York Times and in any of these people, these media people, these mainstream people. Check, double check, and recheck. Don't ever take their word for it. Oh, yeah, the timing is suspicious, and you know why. Distraction. That's obvious. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back. Tony Katz today, guys. Good to be here. Good to be with you. This experiment in how we're streaming has been fascinating. Oddly enough, people who comment mobile, we don't see them. We don't see their comments come up. That's pretty interesting too. Now, some of the comments are just nutty. Like here. Release the Trumpstein files, put Donnie in jail, or hold him accountable for treason on January 6th. You got to live in the now, kitten. There was no treason on January 6th. Why would you put the president in jail? You don't care if he did anything or not. You just want him in jail. Have you ever thought for yourself that maybe you're not okay? Oh, and here's Mike, who wants to clip the show for the misinformation report. Come at me, bro. I'm fine. I love this. Is this what it's like? We must have cracked a threshold, right? Something happened. Good gosh. I don't like what you're saying. It's not nice, so you don't get to say it. That is something else. That is don't call people angry elves. No. Stop it. Gettle, stop it. Oh, why? The name calling is not necessary. I've been down this road. I've been name called. I have had bad responses to it. I've learned my lessons. Moving on. Let us not do that. Anyway. Glad you guys are here. Oh, remind me, I also have to get into Nancy Pelosi talking about climate. You want to talk about changing the subject? We will get to that. But for now, I do not know how many streaming services you have, and I've discussed pricing before, but we're in a whole new world with this. It's crazy what it is that people are spending. If you head over to TonyKatz.com and you get the show sheet that I put out every single Monday through Friday, you'll see this story in the Wall Street Journal. It's madness. The price of streaming services. Incredible. I hope you'll head over there to TonyKatz.com and subscribe. And if you're watching this on the mobile, I would only like to know, is this the first time you've ever seen the show? I'm Tony Katz, by the way. How are you? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We're trying something new, and I want to know if it's now engaged a whole new level of outreach. So let us know. I'd appreciate it quite a bit. We have reached the moment where the streaming services, if you were to have them all, it's costing you as much as cable. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Wall Street Journal had the story that every single streaming service has gone up in price since 2019. This is not surprising, I think, to many, many people. HBO Max has gone up 23%, and Disney Plus has gone up 172%. That is a spread. The problem is that is a very it's misleading. It's a very, very misleading bit of data. Let me tell you why. If I were to take a look at this is the Wall Street Journal, and you see these numbers here about the increase in prices. Well, first, you have to ask yourself, what is the standard price? And who actually pays that? If you were to have Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Peacock, Paramount Plus, and Apple, you're paying $72 to $75 a month. For the standard, the basic, you know, and I know that people don't have the basic, they have other things. So if you take a look at Netflix, for example, and their price increases, they started like that $7.99 a month, and they've moved up to a premium of $24.99. Disney Plus started somewhere around $6 and have moved to $18.99. So the percentage isn't as shocking as the number, because the number for all of them, all these services, is basically the same. Somewhere between $17 and $25. They're all within that range. Apple TV, I think, is still less expensive. Apple TV and Paramount Plus at the bottom numbers there. Something has to give, right? Or is this more of a conversation of, listen, nobody goes out anymore. Why? I have big screen TVs. I have all this content. What's the point of leaving the house? which creates another whole set of problems. The story is there at TonyKatz.com. Check it out for yourself. This is Tony Katz Today. So here's what we've got. We are in the radio break right now. You guys know I do a radio show along with this, right? Right? That were heard in places across the country. And yes, I am fully aware that if you go to the stream on the if you take a look at the mobile, it's insanity. Everything we've got, on the landscape version of this, the more traditional version of your laptop or your desktop, right? Everything's pretty normal. If you go to the mobile version, as we're just now learning how to do this, it's full on Lord of the Flies over there. It's just madness, absolute madness. So I'll figure that out. We'll get to it. In the meantime, the radio show is happening. So we are in commercial break on the radio show. So we'll be in break right over here. Kick back, relax, smoke them if you got them. And we'll come back to the show in a few minutes. All right. So take it easy for a little bit. It's the best I can tell you. Be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Glad you're here. Good to be with you. This is from Oliva or Oliva, I guess, depending on how you pronounce the thing. It is the Milano Serie V. There's a Serie O, there's a Serie G. I like the V. I think there's a wonderful bit of chocolate in this nice little bit of tobacco. It's a good cream connection to it all. I'm a fan of the cigar. Always have been. It is a go-to in my humidor. I like it for the show. I do find them on sale, and so that's certainly helpful to everything else that I'm doing. Glad that you are here. Yes, thank you for noting the flannel. I appreciate that. Right? It's not my normal, but I can get away with it. It's fall. I'm allowed. Meanwhile, I've got some Nancy Pelosi to get to, and I also have some things regarding this shutdown being over. Maybe some things we need to look at. Maybe it's not all perfect. We should say so. Oh, and then Katie Couric. I've got Katie Couric. Do you want Katie Couric? No? Yes? Maybe? All right. How many cigars a day? It's a great question. I think it depends on the day. Some days none. Some days just one. It's just for the show. Some days 3. Have I done more than 3? I have. Do I do that as a regular? Gosh, no. No. I know I've known some people who own cigar lounges and they're constantly smoking, and they're doing like 5, 6, 7 day. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea how you do that. I can't imagine doing that often. It seems like work at that stage of the game. So we now have an open government, and the CR has passed, and it's all said and done. And you had President Trump last night signing the legislation and saying, look at these terrible Democrats. Look what they did to the country. He's not wrong about look what they did to the country as we engaged just earlier. This was, there was no point to this. There was no point to this at all. This was a really, really, really bad idea. And Chuck Schumer was only trying to protect himself politically. But this is absolutely in step with where the party is, because the party is not interested in any level of constructive solution. The party, the Democratic Party, which is the progressive leftist party, is only and solely interested in destruction. They've explained it quite clearly. I don't think we have to question that. President Trump last night, courtesy of Fox News.
It went the exact opposite, with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I've had, I think, great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. Their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So
he's not wrong about it being a scandal. He's not wrong. Scam is more the word, sir. Tony Katz, hey, how are you? Tony Katz today. If I forgot to say hello, I forget sometimes. I might do it twice. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the program. I had stated that what Trump will do, right? You hear Democrats fighting about subsidies for Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act now needs subsidies to be affordable. But these subsidies were the enhanced subsidies that came during COVID. This is what the Democratic Party was fighting for. Enhanced subsidies. Really important to note here. I said, I don't know why the Democrats are doing this, except to say they want the story for themselves. They want the subject for themselves. They want to be seen as powerful on it, because if Trump has the chance, he's totally going to extend the subsidies. Trump's a populist, not a conservative. He's going to say, this is going to keep this price for these people low. More of a chance for me to get him as a voter. Done. Of course he's going to do that. He took a pivot, but on the same philosophy. Why are we dealing with this garbage? Why not give the money back to the people right over here? Now, I think the question should be, why charge me for the money to begin with? Why force me to pay it to begin with? But President Trump made a pivot that I certainly was not expecting. It's very much like him. Why are we dealing with this thing? Why don't we go do this thing over here? As was pointed out on this show by Ovik Roy of the Foundation for Research and Education and oh gosh, FreeOp. My God, I lost it on FreeOp. I just went full Joe Biden, guys. It happened right there in front of your eyes. The Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity. My gosh, shame on me. What he stated, Ovik Roy said, you can get rid of the funding all you want of Obamacare. The fundamental problem here is how the governance is set up, how the whole system works, the regulatory scheme of Obamacare. This is what must be undone. And so his argument was, and the argument from the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity, is that give the subsidies in a deal to then undo the regulatory scheme. I'm paraphrasing there, but that was the concept. Interesting, because that is what President Trump is saying. Now, how do you turn that into something that is passable? And part of the problem of passable, which is to say, how do you rescind, is that the Republican Party has never put out a concept of, okay, here's what we want to do with healthcare. Well, Tony, it should be the free market. Oh, you and I are on the same page, kitten. The problem is America thinks there needs to be a plan. The worst part about the bailouts of 2009, 2010 is that it taught America that when something hits the fan, don't worry, the government will take care of it. It's not the job of government. That's not the role of government. Too big to fail? Government bails you out? What kind of nonsense is this? This is a horrific, horrific message. It is the message that was sent. And doing that message is very difficult. And if we go back to, when did Obamacare pass? Was Obamacare 2010? 2011? Was it 2010? Thank you there, producer Landon. It's now 2025, 15 years. And the total amount of Republican proposal in regards to how to do away with Obamacare and do something else has amounted to, this has been how Republicans have phrased it. Nothing. Zero. Maybe, right, if Democrats want to argue, well, the shutdown was very important because we brought this important subject to light. Okay. What happens when you've done the same for Republicans? What happens when Trump decides, you know what? We can take this. We can do this. Check this out. Boom, bop, bip. Taking these 5 plans. Why don't we put this stuff together? Let's go do this. That's going to be interesting stuff. Did you really want the subject to be front and center? With a guy who doesn't work the way other people work? Okay. But the government reopened. It was a vote of 222 to 209 in the House. 6 Democrats came over, 2 Republicans went the other way. Stubbe of Florida and Thomas Massey of Kentucky. No one is surprised that he voted no. But there are some things to vote no about in this reopening. And you say to me, Tony, I thought you favored reopening the government. What I said from the beginning was I refuse to get worked up about a shutdown. I refuse. I want them to do their job. And I don't think that the Senate nor the House has any right to think that I'm going to somehow scream and yell and hoot and holler because they can't do their job. The only thing I've been thinking about for 42 days is, do I have to replace my member of Congress or my senators? And if the answer is yes, well, I would get on it if I were you. Let me give you 2 things that are in this legislation that ended the shutdown that might make you say, wait a second, I didn't vote for that. The first is what the senators put in. The senators have a provision in the legislation regarding Jack Smith. And you're like, wait, I know the name Jack Smith. Jack Smith was a special counsel looking into Donald Trump. Jack Smith is the guy regarding Operation Arctic Frost who was looking at phone records of people like Senator Ted Cruz and shamefully got them from groups like Verizon, while AT&T said, we're not going to listen to this subpoena. You're out of your mind, and the government backed off. Jack Smith was investigating members of the United States Senate, playing the part of Lavrentiy Beria, who headed up Stalin's secret police. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. That's Beria. And that's what Jack Smith was doing. That's what the left was doing. In my view, I don't believe there's any other way to look at it. Once you get the data, he was looking at Republicans and saying, okay, what dirty deeds have you done? What things have you done? How can I get you? It's so obscene as to be believed. And the Biden administration was an obscene administration. The provision that is in the legislation states that if indeed a senator was investigated by Jack Smith during his investigation regarding Trump and January 6th, that senator could sue the federal government for up to $500,000 of taxpayer money. Allow me to say to each and every senator out there, I think it's disgusting if this happened. I think it is awful if this happened. I think that Jack Smith is the lowest form of the lowest forms, just like I feel the same way about Merrick Garland going after Christians, taking down license plate numbers of people who went to church during COVID, as if somehow freedom of religion went on hold because of a virus. But Jack Smith does something horrific and the taxpayer owes you $500,000? Senators, sit down and shut the hell up. If you consider suing and asking the taxpayers to give you $500,000, you deserve to lose your seat. I say that to Ted Cruz right now without an ounce of hesitation. I agree with you. It stinks that you have no recourse. It's gross. You expect the taxpayer to give you cash because somebody else, not the taxpayer, did you wrong? You're out of your skull. You don't deserve to be in the Senate. This is insane. But it's not the only nutty thing that's in there. When Rand Paul, during this conversation about the shutdown, brought up hemp, I thought it was just Rand Paul being Rand Paul. I'm like, oh, bloody heck, what is this? He's talking about hemp. Look at what they did about THC. In this proposal, There is a provision. No, I'm sorry, not in this proposal. In this now signed legislation that opens the government, there is a provision that, quote, prevents the unregulated sale of intoxicating hemp-based or hemp-derived products, including Delta-8, from being sold online in gas stations and corner stores while preserving non-intoxicating CBD and industrial hemp products. Now, these products were decriminalized, I should say legalized, by the Farm Bill in 2018. So, without a discussion about the merits, we're going to take an entire, what's the word I'm looking for? Industry. I didn't ask if you liked the industry. I am saying you didn't have an open debate about the industry and its legality in the United States. You hid this in something else and then said, hey, screw you if you're on the wrong side of our inside dealings. All of a sudden, everybody in the Senate is named Nancy Pelosi, this kind of inside deal? I wonder how many senators had the opportunity to bet against this through some kind of stock opportunity, other business opportunity, knowing that only certain people would be allowed to be in this business. What the hell is this? This is infuriating. You have people like Dan Patrick, who's the lieutenant governor of Texas, saying this is really good, this is really important, this is really valuable. No. No. This is terrible. This is the kind of stuff, senators, members of Congress, politicos, Americans, that makes us hate politicos. Why didn't we have this debate out in the open? We should have had this debate out in the open. This debate should have been for all of America. $500,000 for senators who got screwed by their government? Americans get screwed by their government all the time. We don't get to sue anybody for cash. The government audits us via the IRS. We are decided, they call us guilty. We have to prove our innocence, a total backwards manipulation of the American system. We have to spend untold amounts of time and dollars, and we don't even get to put a dollar amount to our time to defend ourselves. And then when we did everything right, they go, oh, okay, what? Where is the real compensation for the real time spent on this kind of attack? We don't get that. We don't get that. You get $500,000? Listen, I think you were done wrong. You don't deserve a single taxpayer dime because of it. Not a one. Absolutely nuts. So yes, I'm glad the government's reopened. But we might have paid a cost here. So far, I ain't pleased at all. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem is speaking. This about TSA right here. Let's see if I can bring this to you.
Open it up to you, and then we'll take some questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Couple of words. I really just want to thank my entire leadership team for getting us through this challenging time. For the many leaders across the country at TSA, I know it's been really tough, but thank you for bearing in there and hanging out and looking after our people. That's exactly what it's about. We couldn't have done it without these officers behind me and the entire leadership team.
You want to know how much
it was an entire
TSA?
group effort. We were supported by the airport community, our key stakeholders in Houston, and likely across the country. So thank you all. And my hat's off to every TSA employee. Thank you for what you do.
It's interesting. So I show up in the small box on this side.
With that, we'll open it up to any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
It's a larger way. Let me see. What?
This is not everybody here that works at this airport that will be getting checks. We're going to continue to evaluate every single employee that helped during the shutdown and stepped up and went above and beyond. Sure.
Nope, can't do it that way. Can't do it that way. And do it this way. Well, if we can do this, we can do anything. Now we're good.
Parameters. We're going to look at every individual that did exceptional service during this period of time when there were so many hardships. So the mission of Transportation Security Agency is to facilitate safe travel for commerce and for individuals. They go through our country's airports. People who met that mission and went above and beyond are the folks that we're focused on. Yes.
Also wondering what was the total amount of people who were working unpaid in TSA?
Oh, there was tens of thousands of individuals that stepped up and continued to serve. Many of them took on extra shifts, much like Rico did, to fill in for individuals who couldn't necessarily be there every single day. But we're so proud of every single individual, whether they were a frontline agent at a security gate, whether they were administrative. There was many of them that made sure that things still continued to operate at our airports that needed to be done. And
that is Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, with TSA agents, giving a thanks for all the work they've done during the shutdown. Only thing I want to hear regarding TSA agents is, when do we get rid of the TSA? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Back to the Secretary, Kristi Noem. Questions being asked by the press. Those questions a little bit harder.
Yes, we're facilitating that as soon as possible. They've already missed pay periods and recognizing that that's a hardship on their families. So we did all of the administrative work that we needed to late last night to ensure that that payroll would be processed as soon as possible. And within the next coming days, they will get that into their bank accounts.
And then just to follow up, compared to the last
I certainly don't think that we should be making the claim that TSA shouldn't get paid. They have a job, they do the job, they get paid for the job. I do think that, and I would like to see President Trump involved in this. Does this work? Do we think the TSA system is the best system? If we recall, towards the last year of Biden's alleged presidency, I say that because I have no idea if he was actually running the country or if it was a cabal and an autopen. I don't know. I don't have the answers. My guess is I don't think he was, but I can't prove it. If you went to airports, never mind lines and never mind people who didn't treat you well, there were these signs that if you verbally accost, I'm utilizing the word accost, a TSA agent, you could be fined this, that, and the other. The TSA agent can yell at you. They can be as inept as anybody who's ever been inept. They can go as slow as they need to go. They can be as nasty as they want to be. And somehow, if you notice, you're the one who could be in trouble. If you want to know why it is people act up on airplanes, part of it is the way we set tension in the airport. Now, a lot of this has to do with the airlines, and a lot of this has to do with the flying public. But the TSA's role is that they don't make it easier, they make it more difficult. Different rules at every airport. You ask a question, you end up getting yelled at because it was different from where you took off from versus where you're returning to. No one's going to notice the TSA's role in making life more difficult for air travelers. This system doesn't work. We're kidding ourselves. At least we don't have to take off our shoes now. Thank you, Sean Duffy. We've got a lot more work to do. This is Tony Katz today. I'm curious what the
the internet, what's said or communicated or sold. So it's broad authorities, and the people that make sure that we do our jobs every single day are essential to making sure that our security is guaranteed.
Last question.
Basically, that's what the mission. Is there any specific amount of money to be designated to the workers in general? Millions?
You know, we have, because of reevaluating and being efficient and being diligent with taxpayer dollars, have $2,025 that have been
seriously
left over from some of the savings that we've been able to negotiate on different contracts and different spending requirements that when this administration came in, we will be utilizing that to make sure these bonuses are paid. But no, we're going to be recognizing employees who served with exemplary service. They will be getting $10,000 checks, each of them, and we will continue to recognize all of them that we believe are extremely deserving during serving during such a difficult time as this.
Sorry about that. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Glad you're here. I was just done with everything that was being said there by the secretary. Well, I must admit I don't have a large scale opinion on the secretary. I'm not opposed to the work that she's done. I don't know if I'm enamored with it. I just kind of meh about it. You say to me, well, Tony, look at the border. How much of that is Tom Homan? I don't know her part in all of it. Maybe it's because he's more front and center on it. Maybe I'm giving her too hard of a time and I shouldn't. That could very well be it. I have got two pieces of audio. I have got Fetterman on with Dana Bash. And I have got, where do I have? Oh, Katie Couric. Oh, and then I've got Nancy Pelosi. My gosh, I do not have enough room in this show. I don't. Let me see. Let me get this for you, everybody. Where's the Nancy Pelosi stuff? There it is. We're talking about climate change now. They're now on the climate change bandwagon. There was a story that an ice age is coming. Global warming, global warming, global warming. Ice age is coming. And by the way, Jeffrey, she's better than what we had. That is Alejandra Mayorkas being the standard. That's a low bar. Right there. Mayorkas should have been removed. Never forget that he was impeached by the House, was the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Chuck Schumer refused to hold the trial. When the left has power, they'll do anything. When the right has power, how dare you use your power? The right has to get over that, and they have to get over it right quick. This is also the conversation of redistricting, which should happen immediately. Anyway, back to the radio show, shall we? Oh, we've got 10 seconds. I thought we were on already. That's my mistake.
As we have tremendous leadership in this fight for saving the planet for the children. As the members were speaking, I'm so proud of all the work that they have done. I was remembering Mr. Caston talking to the King of Spain about leading the discussion in Spain with the King of Spain when the COP was there. Just all the members having a leading role. And when we were in UNGA a few years ago, several years ago, heads of state would come over to me and say, how did you all pass the first bill, the Waxman-Markey bill? How did you pass that? And then IRA as well. And my response to them is because of the outside mobilization.
There comes a moment where Nancy Pelosi should have retired 10 years ago. If it's not clear to you now, I don't know when it's ever going to be. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. What is this all about? Nancy Pelosi standing in front of the Capitol talking about climate change. Climate change. Why? Well, because the shutdown's over and they have to move on to their next subject. They lost. They got beat. Their entire philosophy got slapped around. They wanted to make Republicans fold. Republicans did not fold. America, as the polling would show, to believe what you will, understood this. And now they're on to Epstein, with emails that don't do anything to incriminate Donald Trump. And now climate change. And who is she talking about? She's talking about the King of Spain.
Members were speaking. I'm so proud of all the work that they have done. I was remembering Mr. Caston talking to the King of Spain about.
I thought we said no kings. Does nobody listen anymore? Madness. Tony Katz today. I don't know if I said hello or not. That is just one of many, many pieces of audio I have for you. There is also a really interesting 1-2 punch from John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, about, well, who really is the problem here? So this was CNN. He's doing an interview with Dana Bash. And so it's CNN, and listen.
Said, quote, I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left.
Oh, is this the conversation we're having? Whether or not the left or the right is more bitter? Now, we would be fools if we didn't note that problems exist, that some people are awful, that some people are nasty and vile and flat out disgusting on the political right, but that's enough about Candace Owens. It is clear and it is obvious we are not fools, and we shouldn't be. And because we are not fools, we understand all too well that the violence that is embraced, verbal and physical, on the left cannot be matched. And not only is it not matched, there is no desire, no want on the political left to bring it down. And the people who want to bring it down, like Senator John Fetterman, he gets told, you shouldn't be a senator. You shouldn't run again. Oh my gosh, John Fetterman's got some mental problems. Where the hell were you when he had the stroke? I still stand by my words. It is disgusting that they let him run. It is amazing that he won. Remember, he defeated Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, to become the senator. Now, Oz is the guy who defeated Dave McCormick in the primary. Dave McCormick is now a senator from Pennsylvania. Fetterman is a senator, and Oz is running the senators for Medicare and Medicaid. Pennsylvania's got some power, people. But yes, we're aware that the real ugliness comes from the left. And yes, I stand by my words that the allowing Fetterman to run and to become a senator when he clearly wasn't okay is beyond comprehension. Does he still read to answer questions? Absolutely, he does. Is it clear that he's at least understanding what the question is now? Absolutely true. He's better. And some people will joke, that the stroke kind of cured him. It's a rough joke, but you listen to him on a couple of subjects, you're like, I agree. He's not a conservative. He's never going to be one. A lot more things I disagree with him on. But listen.
That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And
now, if you don't know what blue sky is, I'm on Blue Sky. I think I'm Tony Katz on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is a competitor to Twitter X. And we still call it Twitter X because as much as Elon Musk wants to call it X, ain't nobody giving up the name Twitter. We call it Twitter. Mama named her baby Clay. I'm going to call it Clay. Blue Sky is this competitor. And Blue Sky is where all the progressives went. Oh, Twitter and X, and look what Elon Musk is doing, and the fascists. You mean people engaged in free speech? Yes, fascists, of course. People should only be allowed to say what we agree that they should say. Okay, got it. Understood. And so they went to Blue Sky, and they are the most vicious, nasty people out there. He's absolutely, positively accurate about this. It's 1,000% correct. The viciousness for disagreement, the unwillingness to accept that people might disagree. There is nothing liberal about these liberals. If we're talking about the concepts of classical liberalism, I am all in. This is where I live and breathe, guys. This is the stuff that most connected to me, most moved me as I was starting to study, understand what is it that this philosophy is saying, and is this something I could be a part of? When I started, I felt myself much more libertarian. And as I read and I went through it, I said, no, I don't. I'm not that. I'm not angry with libertarians. I think some people are. I don't quite understand that myself. I'm definitely a conservative. I have a different view of foreign policy. I have a different view of safety and defense. It's just a different view. I don't think the libertarian should be stopped from speaking. The progressive, today's liberal, leftist, let's call it, right? Different words, they do have different meanings. Disagreement means you don't get a say. We've seen this. We've proven this. There is no question that this is the truth. And that Blue Sky is far more nasty, far more hateful. Totally believe it. Thank you. Yeah, we're not surprised. We're not surprised by the idea that the left is violent. But there's something else going on. And it's about the left trying to get you to engage in some really horrifying talk. This was Katie Couric interviewing John Fetterman. And this was got into a conversation about Charlie Kirk.
Have been flown at half staff. Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk?
What do you mean someone like Charlie Kirk? What do you mean someone like Charlie Kirk? What is the story here? Tell me who would have been more worthy. No, wait, sorry, let's go back. Tell me what you mean by like. Was there something wrong with Charlie? Was there something wrong with what he said? Something wrong with bringing free speech and promoting it on college campuses? Somebody who believed in their faith and proclaimed it from the mountaintop? The fact that I don't proclaim it from the mountaintop, the fact that I don't agree with Charlie Kirk is inconsequential. What was wrong with him? Like Charlie Kirk. And why is this a question? Why is this a thing? Now, even I could say Charlie Kirk was not a public official, so maybe there's a question about flags at half-staff. But when George Floyd died of a drug overdose, and I do not excuse the cops, I still don't accuse Derek Chauvin. The knee on the neck, which was not on the neck, didn't kill him. But I don't excuse Chauvin's behavior. Personal. But I had members of Congress take a knee. Charlie Kirk takes a knee for his Lord and Savior. That's beyond the pale. But taking a knee for George Floyd, that's good? That's okay? That's worthy? My God, Katie Couric. What do you mean somebody like Charlie Kirk? What did Senator Fetterman say?
How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was his choice and his prerogative, and that was really entirely up to him.
Doesn't take the bait. John Fetterman doesn't take the bait. This is not a subject I care about. This is not even a question that matters. None of this is worthy. But when you want to sow division, when you want to engage hate, when you want to say, oh, come on, you know these are bad people, right? Oh, look what they did with that guy over there. The divisiveness. They aren't backing away from it. They aren't shying away from it. They are tripling down on it. That's a problem for all of us. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Good to be with you. A John Fetterman update. He fell at his home in Pennsylvania, what they are reporting as a ventricular fibrillation flare-up, which is to say he was lightheaded, he fell to the ground, hit his face, minor injuries. He's in a hospital right now, receiving getting care, receiving routine observation. To which Fetterman joked, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." This is only going to lead people down the road of, you see, he can't be a senator. You see, they didn't say that. You know what? I'm going to save this for the air. I'm going to save it for the air. You know exactly where I'm going to go. I did not get into the Gavin Newsom story because I got to read it a little bit more. The story is that his former chief of staff has been indicted on public corruption charges. Well, that's something. As for this experiment with the two types of videos, first, for those watching the mobile, I'm fully aware that's centered. Secondly, I'm going to have to move the camera because this is the natural spot where the chair rests. This, I've got a little cutout here, and it's a little more difficult, but it's an easy adjustment to make. I don't think it's actually too bad. Also, I am aware I sit at an angle because it's a little more comfortable. And so it's not straight on. It's this is straight on. It's a little odd. I do that, but yeah, I'm at a little bit of an angle here, but I don't know, maybe I can angle the desk, make some changes. But I cannot wait to see kind of how this works and how these numbers come together. It's been really, really interesting. Why the mobile? And the answer is because that's how people watch. So, okay. Now that we figured it out, especially now that we figured out the two shot. Right? So if I go here and show this like this, once we figured out this, everything else it makes sense. Perfect. So I keep the chat on there. I'm going to keep the chat on there, but I do need to find the spot for some of the sponsors. I gotta make that change. Most mafia bosses sit like that, Uncle Tony. I'll allow it. If I'm the boss of this here family, what do I need you to allow? Huh? All right. I'm going to go get the papers. Get the papers. It's a Goodfellas reference, people. Come on. Work with me. Work with me right here.
But Maxwell Frost is younger than me, but very proud to be part of a new generation of leadership that I think is demonstrating that fighting this authoritarian and corrupt administration is the most important thing right now. Look, I think in the House of Representatives, Leader Jeffries has done an excellent job leading us and making sure that we are united in fighting for healthcare. Throughout this entire saga of this Republican shutdown, we have been loud and clear about the healthcare crisis. We have spoken to the American people, brought back constituent stories and concerns directly to Washington, D.C., and that is why the vast majority of Americans support the Affordable Care Act and why Donald Trump's numbers are in the 30s.
That's not why his numbers are low. Representative Ansari there, wanting you to know that they're still angry that the shutdown is over. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Just a quick update because we were talking about Senator John Fetterman. The reporting is that he's in a hospital in Pennsylvania. He fell, what they are referring to as a ventricular fibrillation flare-up. He felt lightheaded, fell to the ground, hit his face. He's got minor injuries. Fetterman putting in a statement, if you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now. So, haha and tee-hee. This is going to lead to every single Democrat, which is to say leftist out there saying, you see, he can't even walk down the street. He's not mentally okay. He has to go. When he was clearly incapacitated, you said he was fine. And you said we were wrong to say otherwise. Evan Sayet, who is an author and a satirist, a very funny guy and very, very bright. He wrote the book, The Kindergarten of Eden. And he has stated in one of his lines is that the left is not just wrong. They're as wrong as wrong can be. But they're 180 degrees opposed to the truth. And the very concepts of projection here also exist. When Fetterman was clearly incapacitated, he was fine. When Fetterman disagrees with them and falls down, well, now he has to go. It's hard to buy into what that party brings to the table. This is Tony Katz today. By the way, some people commenting in the chat, they're trying to send him a message. No, don't do that. Don't. It's just horrifying as a thought. Please, let's not be those people. Could we? I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate that so much. Now, I'm out tomorrow. I'm back on Monday and looking forward to that. Thank you guys as I've been, practicing and learning the system here with the different ways of sending out the video, and it's getting better. And I appreciate it. I appreciate it because of you. Subscribe over there on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Tony Katz. Go to TonyKatz.com and subscribe. We've got the show sheet every day. Videos for paid subscribers. You don't have to be one. I appreciate it, though. Lots of good things and more things happening all the time. Can't thank you all enough for being here and being a part of what's going on and what's happening. I will catch you. There is a show tomorrow. Mike Coolidge is in for me tomorrow, and I will catch you all on Monday. Appreciate it. You guys take care.